Massive Slayer changes have been introduced to Old School Runescape, which completely changes the way you do Slayer. There are 3 big changes. Each Slayer Master has their own block list now, the reduction of point costs for various unlocks, and metal dragons being combined into one singular task. These changes affect multiple parts of Slayer, and we're going to have to do 3 separate videos on this channel to cover everything here. We're going to talk about the Imbued Heart meta changes and how to farm for that. We're going to talk about point boosting, and we're going to talk about how you can use each Slayer Master now that you can set up its own block list. In this video, let's discuss how you can get an Imbued Heart in Old School RuneScape in well under 100 hours. To get started on your grind, you want to make sure on your unlocks that you have things turned off that would introduce another Slayer monster. This is stuff like a Boss, Aviancies, Lizardmen Shaman, Vampires, hot stuff for Tazars and Jad tasks. All of those should be turned off because by turning those off, we're increasing the chance of getting the good Imbued Heart tasks. For extends, you'll want to extend Araxytes. You can also extend Abbey Demons if you'll be doing those, which we'll discuss in the block list section. Let's set up our Duradel block list. So we're going to click on View List, and we can begin blocking the task even without having them assigned. And the first task we need to block is Metal Dragons. This used to be separate tasks. We had Steel Dragons, Iron Dragons, Rune, Adamant. Now that they've all been combined to one task, they are very highly weighted. They're the highest weighted task you can get. This makes it a very obvious block. It also makes the Imbued Heart grind quicker than it was before because previously you wouldn't block any of these tasks. They weren't worth it because they weren't highly weighted enough. Now that you're blocking Metal Dragons, it kind of feels like you're blocking multiple tasks that you would have done previously in one block slot. So it's just a really, really good change overall. Moving on, you'll want to block Dark Beasts and Black Dragons. Now I know those are quick tasks, but because we'll be Turael skipping, it doesn't matter that they're quick. All we're worried about is how heavily weighted tasks are. So we need to block these ones because they're very heavily weighted. Other tasks we're blocking are Cave Kraken, Calphite, Hellhounds, and the last task, believe it or not, Abbey Demons. Let me explain a little bit here. When it comes to farming for the Imbued Heart, 100% blocking Abbey Demons is quicker than not blocking them. This is because the introduction of the Araxytes Slayer task, which is arguably the best heart task in the game. Abbey Demons are very highly weighted, so if you have them on your list, you're going to get them more often than Araxytes and Smokes. If you're not convinced, the chance of getting a heart on an extended Slaughter Bracelet Abbey Demons task is 0.56% per task, and it's a fairly long task as well. If you are doing Smoke Devils, it's a 0.72% chance to get the heart. If you're doing Araxytes, it's a 0.92% chance. So almost double the chance of getting a heart from an Araxyte task versus an Abyssal Demon task. So highly recommend that you block it. However, if you still need Magic XP, Slayer XP, maybe you still need Prayer XP as well, then I suppose you can keep them unblocked and instead block something like Dagonoths. But eventually you do want these blocked because it is way better when it comes to farming for the heart. Duradel is now set up, so let's move over to Turael. Turael now has their own block list, which is the best part of this update by far. It makes the Imbued Heart grind just quicker and way less annoying because some of these Turael tasks were very annoying to do. It also makes other parts of Slayer way better, like point boosting, which we'll discuss in the other video, and how to use each Slayer Master and go for certain tasks, which we'll discuss in the other video as well. But when it comes to setting up a block list here, it's the same regardless of what type of Slayer you're doing. The first task we're going to block definitely is Lizards. It is the worst task by far. If you were doing it in the desert with the ice coolers, it was just really annoying with the cannon. You never one-shot anything. You go into melee range, it was long. If you were doing Sulfur Lizards instead, it was still very long. So this is an obvious block to do. The rest of the tasks we're going to block are Wolves, Dogs, Skeletons, Bears, Bats, and Banshees. Those are the longest, most annoying tasks you can block with Turael. You'll also notice that Calphites aren't blocked here. This is because Calphites are a quick task to skip with. However, this is specifically for the Imbued Heart grind because we're blocking Calphites with Duradel. With other types of Slayer, you're not necessarily blocking Calphites, so you don't want to be in a situation where you get a Calphite task, want to skip it, and you can't. So what you can do if you just want to set and forget Turael and sacrifice a little bit of efficiency, you could unblock a task like bats, I would say, and instead put in Calphites. Both block lists are set up, and now you are ready to start getting your Imbued Heart. So what you're going to do is you're going to talk to Duradel, and you're going to try to get either a Smoke task or an Araxyte task, or an Abbey Demon task if you have them unblocked, and you're going to do them. Once you get the task, you go do the task, but if you don't get the task, what you need to do is use the NPC contact spell to Turael Skip. This will give you a new task from Turael, and it'll be a very easy task because we're blocking so many bad ones. Now, I know a lot of you have a large task streak right now, and you don't want a Turael Skip. I have always advocated that you break your task streak. Turael Skipping is incredibly strong and became so much better with these changes, so it's going to be in your interest to break that streak. If you're very close to getting like a ton of points from like 100 streak or something, sure, go and get that. But after that, you should break your streak, especially because of these changes. It will make this grind better. It'll make every Slayer adventure better. This is my inventory when I'm doing Turael Skipping. Basically, the obvious stuff here is Venerable is extremely strong, Blowpipe is great, Bofa is great, the Cannon is great, and then all these various teleports here. What I don't have also is a Din's Bulwark, so if you have that, I recommend bringing that because it can speed up some tasks. It goes without saying as well that you should have Expeditious Bracelets when doing Turael Skipping, and you should always use Slaughters when doing the Duradel tasks. Let's break down each Turael task, where you can do them, and what teleports you can use. This has changed since the last time I've covered it because of new items and new areas, but also because of this block list, we don't have to cover a lot of very bad tasks anymore. I'm going to roughly go by teleports here to hopefully keep it simple. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Achievement Cape. If you don't have the Achievement Cape, you can just use your POH teleports because they're all just town teleports. First one is teleporting to Karen, and you can do Ghosts in the Catacomb of Karen with your Venerable. And anytime there's multi like this, you can also use the Din's Bulwark. Next teleport is teleporting to Varrock, going into the sewer. This is where you can do the rats with multi. Again, Venerable incredibly strong here. And the last teleport for the Achievement Cape is Lumbridge, where you can do your goblins, obviously right here, or you can do spiders near the Ham Hideout, where there's very small spiders as well. I recommend tagging those. Also within Lumbridge, you could do the cows here with the cow pen. This is probably the best spot for cows. You have to put down your cannon though, but there is another option for cows, especially if you get a low amount that's a little bit more chill. That's using the Ectophile. You're gonna go to these undead cows. There's only 4 of them, but they respawn very quickly. With the Ectophile, while we're here, there are 2 other tasks we can do here. The good task is the zombie task. This is your best zombie location by far. You can take out the chickens and the cows. You could also do your bird task here, especially if you have a low amount of birds. However, a better option for birds is using the Champions Guild teleport and going to the river here, putting down your cannon and taking out the ducks. I like to hit the ducks that are around the back that the cannon are missing. So it's up to you what you want to do here. Sometimes I just do whichever one I click first, and if it's a high quantity, I tend to do the cannon ones. If it's a lower quantity, sometimes I just do the ones where you just hit with a blowpipe or a bofa. The Slayer Ring is mostly used for taking out crawling hands. Previously, you'd also use this for Banshees, but now I have Banshees blocked. If you have Banshees unblocked for whatever reason, you would do Banshees here too, of course. And then the other thing you use Slayer Ring for is Cave Crawlers. This is an okay spot, especially if you have a low amount, but I believe there's a better cave crawler spot now. So overall, Slayer Ring got less use than previously, definitely. But what you can use instead is the Pendant of Eights. So you're going to use this to teleport to Twilight's Promise, and you can go into the Ice Dungeon here. When it comes to getting to cave crawlers, I found this direction to be quicker than going the other way. What's nice here is that the cave crawlers are in multi, so you can again use your multi-tools like Venerable and do the task much quicker than you can do it in the Slayer Cave. Also in this dungeon is another task, Ice Fiends. This is the new best location in my opinion for Ice Fiends because again, it's multi. Now, I think technically going the other way is quicker for Ice Fiends, but whatever, it's a couple seconds here or there, it doesn't really matter. So this is a great spot. If for whatever reason you're not doing this spot or you don't have the amulet yet, I do recommend getting the amulet. But if you don't, you still have the Slayer Ring option, and then for Ice Fiends, you can use the Monastery Teleport and take them out in the mountain instead. But hey, this is an efficient guide, so I do recommend that you set yourself up efficiently. For Dwarves, I typically use the Jewelry Box again, and I just go to the Mining Guild, and there's a ton of Dwarves there I just kind of take out along my path and rotate around. The other option you can do instead is use a Taverley teleport. If you have the construction cape, this is great, or if your house is located in Taverley, go into this area, and then there's a bunch of dwarves in one area, so it's a little bit less energy usage. A couple other items in our inventory that previously had multiple uses now really only have one, and one of those is the scepter. You're going to use this to get minotaurs. There's a great spot for minotaurs here. Again, Venator bow. I used to use this for wolves if I had a low amount of wolves, but obviously we have those blocked now. The other one is Seed Pod, which I also use for wolves, but now that's blocked, but I still use it for monkeys. So you're going to go to the glider, go to here, get into the dungeon, and you could start taking out those AoE monkeys, which is way quicker than doing other monkey tasks. However, if you get a low amount of monkeys, you could use the CKR fairy ring and just take out the monkeys around the fairy ring instead. The Ring of the Elements is a great option for Turael skipping. I just keep it on my character. What you can do is the water teleport, which gets you to cave bugs and cave slimes. The other option for these is using a fairy ring AJQ, which is a decent option for both as well, but I do prefer the water teleport. You can use the fire altar teleport to get the scorpions. Come here, put down a cannon, very quick tasks. And if you don't have bats blocked, because maybe you're blocking Calphites instead, you can use the earth teleport and do the bats here as well. And then if you don't have Calphites blocked, use a desert amulet 4 to get to the Slayer cave, put down a cannon, and it's a very quick task. Those are all the Turael tasks. Much easier and quicker than it was before. Now all that's left is doing your Araxyte and your smoke tasks. If you're doing Smoke Devils, this one can be a little bit complicated if you're not familiar, but you're putting down your cannon here, and then you're using a skeleton here going back and forth, luring in the Smoke Devils. I have a few tiles marked here that are helpful for dragging for me personally, but this one you should get used to over time. Araxytes is a very simple task. You just take your cannon, take your Venator bow, go in the cave here, and you're ready to go. If you're doing Abyssal Demons, this one, I do recommend getting the teleport scroll to stop you from getting teleported around. If you don't have that, an option you can do is put on some negative mage gear and splash on them. This makes it so that they can't teleport you. This is better than using something like darts, which will teleport you around. So that's just a little tip there if you're still doing Abyssal Demons and you don't have the anchoring teleport scroll. In my last Imbued Heart meta video about a year ago, I didn't expect that I would continue to get comments on it of people who got their Imbued Heart after watching the guide, and it's one of my favorite comments to get on the channel. Even though I don't have mine yet, I'm definitely going to make a comment on my own video when I do get mine. I do look forward to people who get their heart after this video is released, so definitely come back to this video if you do get that. But we are not done with the changes for Slayer on this channel. If you're from the future, I should have more videos out by now. There's going to be a video on point boosting, how you can point boost effectively. And believe it or not, points are kind of more important now than they were before, even though things got lower in cost. Because there's multiple Slayer Masters and they have their own block lists, it ends up being more points required to get multiple block lists set up. The other video you might be interested in is how you can set up each of your Slayer Masters to do very specific tasks for you, and you can just go to whichever one depending on what your current goal is.